and welcome to another episode of Toon'd In. It's been a while, but here I am. Here, I discuss cartoons, no matter how new, no matter how old, no matter the cost. This is No Shave November, obviously, but that's not what we're here for. Let's talk about the damsel in distress. It's an antiquated system, an old archetype, a cliché, that is important for some storylines, but in this modern age, it mostly comes off as insulting to all girls, women, female types. Anyway, today I'm going to actually take a look at my opinion of the top 10 worst offenders of the damsel in distress archetype in cartoons. It's my opinion, of course, but let's see if you can enjoy the ride anyway. Here we go. Nell Fenwick from Dudley Do Right. I'd have to put her on the list. Nell is pretty much the stereotypical archetype of the melodramatic damsel in distress. Albeit she is that way because Dudley Do Right is a parody of the old melodramas. Daphne Blake from Scooby-Doo, or at least the early Scooby-Doos. They've done a lot to actually make Daphne better than just a damsel in distress. But in the early Scooby-Doos, danger-prone Daphne was often the subject of kidnappings and being in peril just to be saved, to the point that she became infamous. After all, she got the nickname Danger-Prone Daphne. Lois Lane from Superman. Yeah, especially early on, she was definitely just a prop to try to either spur Superman into action or be leverage against him as a hostage. Yes, they've done a good job at trying to make her a bit more independent, but part of Lois is still always the victim. It almost is a fact of nature. After all, Superman's so powerful and fights things that are absurdly powerful, and Lois is just a human. It doesn't necessarily take her off this list, though. And speaking of DC, Wonder Woman from the Super Friends. Specifically the Super Friends. Wonder Woman is, of course, a powerful, independent, feminist icon. That's how we know her now. Basically, the sign that women and girls can do anything that they want. They can be anything they want to be. And they won't let anyone hold them down. So, how did Super Friends handle this? She, as the only woman, is the subject of constant kidnappings and subjugation. Especially with her weakness to being tied up. That hasn't come up in a long time. She actually would lose her power and be totally weak and helpless if she were actually tied up. I don't think that's a thing anymore. But it was a thing during Super Friends, so... Smurfette from the Smurfs. For a long time, not only was she the damsel in distress constantly being kidnapped, the main reason why she was the damsel in distress being kidnapped is because she was the only female Smurf. And everyone in Smurf Village thought she was just Smurfy. She is literally a prize. She is the girl everybody wants, and when someone kidnaps her, we gotta do something. Not just because, someone who's being kidnapped, she's our only girl. That changed later, but let's face it, when they introduced other girls in the original Smurf series, they were children. So Yeah. Bhama Briefs from Dragon Ball. Bhama's an interesting case, but there's a reason why I have her on the list. Not only did she find herself in peril like your normal damsels in distress, but there was no good reason for it. Bhama is a brilliant scientist who was able to invent incredible machines, and in Dragon Ball, she had a gun. And in Dragon Ball, not talking about Z or Super or GT or any of those, I'm talking about the original Dragon Ball. In the original Dragon Ball, people were still susceptible to guns. Goku was the freak that was able to take a bullet, but no one else would have been able to do that. Thus her surprise when she actually did shoot Goku and he got back up. Oh, we're getting into the big ones now. Olive oil from Popeye. Olive oil is pretty much captured by Bluto in almost every Popeye cartoon ever made. Why? Why does Bluto want her? Well, the reason why Bluto actually wants her is because Popeye likes her. And he's getting back at Popeye. He's getting to Popeye by kidnapping Olive Oil. And that's why Olive Oil is so high on this list. Because that much disrespect paid to her. It's disgusting. April ONeil from the 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. It's another case of the character getting better, more independent, and more powerful, competent as the series has got remade and rebooted. But in the 90s animated, April was helpless and, for a reporter especially, a bit of a bimbo. Remember, she's supposed to be an intrepid reporter. She's supposed to have gone to school for this. And more often than not, she'd wind up searching for a scoop, because you know that's what all reporters do, going for the big story. And she would always be captured and used as leverage. It got to the point that they actually lampshaded it in the series. That's what they were going to do to attract the turtles' attention or something like that. And Shredder actually said, "We'll kidnap April ONeil. Sure, we've done it by 30 times before, but why mess with what works?" So yeah, they knew what they were doing here. Polly Purebred from Underdog. Polly Purebred is another reporter who gets herself into trouble every single episode. How she is different than April, besides the fact she's a dog, she has her own summoning song for the hero. She expects it so much, she actually has a routine tune. She knows that she could sing her little oh where has my underdog gone? And he'd hear it, and he'd show up. This is very similar to the Lois Lane Superman thing, where Polly Purebred is normal in a world full of dangerous super beings. Unlike Lois Lane, they never made her better. But then again, Underdog was never really remade. That live-action movie didn't count because it threw everything from the source material away, basically. And now, my friends, it's time for our number one entry. Again, my opinion. But Princess Daphne from Dragon's Lair. Now, although this is not a actual cartoon series. It is a cartoon, a computer game, but a cartoon nonetheless. It was animated by Don Bluth, brilliantly, I might add. But Princess Daphne was kidnapped by a wizard and a dragon at the same time, forced to wear an exotic, sexy outfit, and put on display in the dragon's lair. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that Princess Daphne was not put in that outfit by choice. Although, if you do look at her personality, how she presents herself when you do meet her, I wouldn't be surprised if that was her choice. At which point, and yeah, I could see why someone would be interested in kidnapping her. But the plot of Dragon's Lair is Dirk the Daring was requested of the king to rescue his daughter. And in exchange, well, Princess Daphne will belong to Dirk. It's traditional for medieval society, but still, she is literally a prize to be won. The means for royal ascension for Dirk, to go from knight to prince. Plus, being that much of a vapid bimbo, and if you don't believe me that her only redeeming quality seems to be her sexuality, then maybe you should check out this clip.
Please save me! The cage is locked with a key. The dragon keeps it around his neck. To slay the dragon, use the magic sword.
Hey, lady. I'm trying to sneak in here and get this sword. I need you to stop flirting with me and shut up. Also, I'm trying to get a magic sword, not make one in my pants. Yeah, I always found her to be one of the most disturbing instances. And it's not like it was Dragon's Lair was made in a bygone age like the 40s and 50s. No, Dragon's Lair was in the 80s. We should have been at least getting closer to where we should have been. But, anyway, that does it for my list. I hope that you enjoyed this discussion. Good examples and my reasoning for why I may put them on my list. But that's gonna do it for me. So who knows what I'll be talking about next time. I had an idea for an episode, but it wasn't going to work out, so I came up with this one. Unfortunately, there was no connection between Mario's Odyssey and Homer's Odyssey in a significant way to make an episode. Which is unfortunate because that would have been a lot of fun. But anyway, when I come up with inspiration, have an idea for something else, we'll see each other again. Until then, though, this was Josh the Fox Mills telling you, stay tuned.